let's jump into the third stakeholder, which is the sales and account management team. Now they are the customer facing
How do we
teams
put y'all
today
on
on
game?
board
Make sure you
customers.
remember who
And
we
the
are.
primary requirement here is in terms of flexibility and giving out custom pricing points, right? So what the pricing ops team manages is the default product catalog's price. But what the sales team would want is the ability to, because they negotiate with customers, they would want the ability to change the pricing depending on how their negotiation goes with the customers.
So the price per customer is negotiated individually with them, since this is a predominantly enterprise facing feature, and a contract is defined with various price points for the services that the customer is given. We would have to bring in the ability to import these various terms in contract and generate a pricing association to them.
So that's the first part, right? So how, when they onboard a customer, they would need to import the pricing based on their contract that they have signed. But within that itself, while the product itself can be SMS or MMS or whatever the default is, they will have different price points for different leaf nodes that we spoke about in our previous conversation, right? So it can be at an operator level, it can be at a network level, it can be at a country level. So any type of overrides are possible. So that's the first, what we call as overrides, maybe right. Overrides at a individual level. So the requirement here is applying changes to price points, not just for the future, but also be able to backdate and apply price points to unbilled periods, right? So that's something because sales team want that flexibility. So change pricing both forward schedule as well as backdated for an unbilled period.
Got it.
Now the next complexity was, again, this is an operational problem. So since we have like 50,000 odd rate cards and to manage, they cannot be going and managing everything at an individual level, right? So there can be cases where they want to combine one operator of one country with some other network of another country and give like a group pricing, right? So this is something, how do you bundle these kind of, I would call it as bundling. We'll look at how to solve that problem, but essentially being able to bundle and package different rate cards and then give a grouped pricing.
Got it.
The next one is more complex. So depending on the usage data and the usage values of the customers, they would want to give custom discounts, right? So I would call that as volume-based tools. And here again, there's a lot of complexity. So like you understand salespeople, they are just very creative, right? So they will apply different types of rules based on different conditions for one particular network or group of networks and operators and countries, but then give a price point to a different set of country network operator again, right? So all of these are something that they expect this solution to support.
Since these so many modifications are made right from default pricing to combining various entities and applying various rules, how is it going to reflect in their invoice? Are all these granular details supposed to be shared to them, or what is the expectation there?
Yeah, so that is what basically was the next set of requirements, right? So how do you represent all of this to the end customer? Now you have these complex components. You cannot be showing 50,000 price points in an invoice, right? So that's not something that a customer wants. But again, some customers do want that. So that is again a configurability that they expect, this company expects to provide to their customers. So that customers can choose whether they want to group by the final leaf node or somewhere in between, like should I group by a country or an operator or a network or at a product level, or just give me final number. I trust your data and I don't want to verify all of that. Again, that's a configurability. We'll call that as maybe template management. Yeah, broadly, I think these were the requirements and problems faced by this persona, the stakeholders in that organization, right? So yeah, let's dive in.
Custom pricing and contract management. So basically, when a large organization operates on an enterprise customer, they would have a CRM and CPQ in place to manage these negotiations, right? So we can directly pull the customer information as and when they are onboarded into a CRM and create a customer in our site. Then when a CPQ system approves a contract, that particular event can be captured in our system and we can query the entire contract information from them and create the corresponding overrides and associate a price plan to them.
You're right. So in this case, for example, this company was using Salesforce to manage their customers and also the quoting mechanism.
Salesforce integration is already live with the way, so we can support the explained workflows after that.
So how does the override or the custom pricing association itself work?
We have seen that there is going to be a timeline for each and every entity in the catalog, right? So there will be a country level price, there will be a network level price, and there will be an operator level price, and the default of product level price, right? So for each and every time window, there is going to be a transition in schedule. Same structure is followed, and for an individual account dimension is introduced and managed at each and every account level. Only this timeline is managed at an account level. While computation, we will build this entire timeline and attach this individual timeline here and use the same fallback logic that we already have. If there is a price plan associated here, we will take this. Else we'll go here, 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 and here. So always a custom pricing associated to an account takes precedence over a default price.
Got it. So what you're saying is, just like how we define the hierarchy for a default price, there will be a hierarchy that is maintained for the custom price, and if that is available, that is what takes precedence over the default price.
Correct.
Now, like, how do we go about managing this? Like the sales team, how do they go about actually
Got it. So
inputting?
the same capability that we have for the pricing ops team is extended to the sales ops team as well. As we are reusing the components or the principles from managing the default pricing to account, we can use the same process of expecting Excel file, and that can be imported directly into our system, and we can manage the entire schedule as well. Because customer level contracts are negotiated for a longer period of time, there will be multiple schedule changes which are discussed upfront and configured. So this entire schedule can be in a single shot downloaded into Tholkappiyan.
And this poses a different problem also, right? So, like as a salesperson or as a pricing ops manager, now how can I identify what is the price for a particular node or a leaf, right? Like, how do I know that this price, whether is it the default price, or is it an overridden price, or it's coming from a pre-configured one, or where is it coming from?
So basically we went through the search functionality for the pricing ops thing. Same UI is given to the account level access as well. You go to the account level view and you search for a leaf node. So you will see two values there. One, what is the value that is applied on a default pricing catalog, and the second one is what is the value that is associated to this particular account. You will also see a third flag of where this value comes from. Let's say there is a difference in price between the default price and account price. You want to know how it came to, whether it was overridden directly on that particular leaf node or a parent. For example, I am a customer of this particular person, and for me all UK SMSs are given at a different rate. So there it will be tagged that the parent node is overridden. So under UK, if I search for any network or an operator, I will be able to clearly see that my parent has an override. So that is why I have received the overridden price.
How do I change pricing both for I think the future is kind of scheduling pricing changes is solved for based on the timeline, but how do I solve for backdated pricing changes?
So in the backdated scenario, it is already mentioned that it is going to happen only for the enterprise customers. And in the very first discussion, we discussed that for enterprise customers, we have to go with the on-demand pricing capability. So let us say we are here in the timeline, and for this particular account, on a previous timeline, node is supposed to change its pricing from price point A to price point B. So the usage data is unaltered. So the previous request response is now invalid. But since we are not tracking those pricing computations on a periodic manner, and we are refreshing the entire data set and regenerating the result set as and when the customer is asking for it, this entire computation works. We will keep refreshing the invoice at a periodic interval at our side as well. So as and when the next invoice refresh occurs, the entire data set for both revenue and the total payable amount will be updated.
So just to summarize, the deferred revenue computation flag provides the capability to apply pricing changes for an unbilled period from the past as well.
Right.
Makes sense. So let's go to the bundling aspect, right? So now here, basically they're looking to group different branches in that hierarchy and the tree and provide like a price point.
So I think we can combine both bundling as well as volume rules into our pricing rules feature. So we have a pricing rules feature where you have various usage entries translating into various revenue numbers in your invoice. So these usage and revenue numbers can be fed in as an input to a function, and you can get the output as either a usage unit or a revenue number. So we let them design the custom aggregates on these usage or revenue numbers, apply custom formulas like like addition, multiplication, percentage, and whatever is applicable on a simple math formula, and you can generate the output, and thereby you can solve for both bundling as well as volume based. Say if you want to go with bundling, it is just a matter of choosing what are the leaf nodes that you want to group together and applying the sum functionality. For volume based discount, it is just picking and choosing whether you want to apply volume discount on a bundle or a single line item. It doesn't matter. You just choose what is required, apply the sum functionality, you will get the volume number, and you simply apply the percentage that you want, and that gives you the discount that is supposed to be applied. So these come as in two manner. You can either replace the existing line item in the invoice. Let's say you have to combine, you are combining say all operators of a network. Basically there you have to replace the list of operators from the existing output and given this new number. Let us say you are applying a volume discount. Basically the existing line item is supposed to stay, you apply an additional line item which is supposed to be subtracted from the total. Both functionalities are available in the pricing rule management.
So maybe I will just summarize that into a feature that is something that customers can use here, right? So let's take an example of a pricing rule and apply it using the feature that we have. So the first step is determining what the source condition is, right? So we have to first determine the source. Now are we applying it on a usage value or a revenue value? So here in this case, say let's take a use case where the country is I would say UK, right? And another, I want to combine this with say US Virgin Mobile.
That's right.
Now when the usage of these grouped quantity goes beyond say more than 100,000 SMSs in a month, I want to give a 10% discount on the overall invoice, right? Not only on this group but on the overall invoice itself. So for this, let's just take this example. In this case, the source are essentially two aspects. So we will say usage dot country dot UK plus usage dot country dot UK dot US, and operator is Virgin. Okay, dot Virgin. Here we have defined the source. What is the source condition? It is greater than 100,000. Right? That's the unit that we are looking to apply the condition on. The next is the computation. Right? What do you actually want to compute and apply as a rule? So here in this case, it's the 10% of the overall invoice. So we'll essentially say revenue dot invoice, right? Which is the overall invoice. And 10% would mean basically you have to add a negative entry discount. So into minus 0.1, which is 10%. So this is the computation formula. And then we have to apply it as a say new line item, right? So essentially add a separate line item. So this is what this looks like in actual implementation and user experience. So using this, you can combine any type of rate cards and apply complex conditions and computations and apply for your customers, right? So any type of pricing flexibility or any type of pricing model that you are looking to implement for your business can be covered here, and this basically gives your sales teams absolute creativity to close deals based on whatever rules that they determine as they see fit. I think we had raised a valid point about invoicing, right? How do you manage customers to configure this and see that in the invoice?
So invoicing is custom to each and every enterprise, right? So because they will have their own process, cross-validation, verification, reconciliation, and so on. So we can provide the ability to generate these various templates and manage it at an individual account level. But from our side, the invoice entry always has the most granular data that is available. As we have gone through the entire tree structure or various line items that you have, various pricing rules and computations that you have, each and every usage and revenue number is tracked, and that granular data can be fed as an input to the template. If the template is containing rules to display each line item as is, you will get the most expanded version of the invoice. If they are expecting only at the country level or a product level, those metrics or those usage and revenue metrics will be totaled, and those summations only will be available in this template. you can configure various other static fields in the template as well and customize the way in which your output should be presented to the end customer as well.
Basically provide a complete customizable template management solution for invoice where end customers can choose how they want to group and show the usage and the revenue data as.
Correct. Also, this is not a one-off thing, right? So because this is not done at the core invoice level and it acts as a wrapper on top, you can always decide to generate a default invoice in a default template, and whenever there is a detailed or a summary report of invoice use case occurs, you can come in, choose the invoice and download the invoice in the template that you want. So this is not a one-way door decision.
So I think that's a wrap for this company's use cases. So I think an enterprise company is going to be facing hard problems when it comes to solving for usage-based billing and workflow management, and not just from an internal development standpoint, but also from an internal user experience standpoint, because different stakeholders require different functionalities, and that's not something that a team should be focused on building.